The adverse effects of the infamous transatlantic slave trade, man's act of inhumanity to his fellow man, coupled with other undesirable factors, contributed immensely to the story of underdevelopment being experienced in what was supposed to be the most flourished continent in the world, Africa. Series of revolutions had been staged by great sons and daughters of Africa in seeking for a redress of the past economic exploitation and social-cultural enslavement by the perpetrators of the dastardly act of the 16th and 18th centuries. However, a renewed effort by some African leaders for Africa's recovery in terms of peace, security, debt relief, poverty and disease, underdevelopment facilitated the visionary and intellectual drive which bred out the Millennium Partnership for African Recovery Program, MAP, and Omega Plan. The two developmental initiatives later metamorphosed into the New African Initiative, NAI. For genuine and reflective framework and in line with its ideal opportunity for the member states of the African Union, the New African Initiative, NAI, gave birth to the New Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, on October 23, 2001 in Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital. According to available statistics, 2/3 of the 48 least developed countries of the world are in Africa, while about 340 million Africans live below poverty line. Also, the mortality rate of children under the age of 5 years is put at 140 in every 1,000 of the young folk. Life expectancy at birth is 56 years. About 50% of its population could not access potable water. Disease and illiteracy stand as threats to Africa's developmental arrangements. The quest to conquer the suffocating heat of these societal problems informed the establishment of NEPAD by Nigeria's former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, President Thabo Mbeki of South Africa, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, President Abdoulaye Wade of Senegal, and Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. NEPAD, a theme of vision for the future, well articulated by developmental agenda, serving as a window of opportunity for program of action for a new Africa. Since its October 2001 date of establishment, NEPAD has made profound mission statement and has won the admiration of various international agencies worldwide. It will be recalled that the World Summit on Sustainable Development, WSSD, declared NEPAD as an elixir of hope and a reliable mechanism for Africa's development at one of its sessions. Besides, the United Nations General Assembly has adopted NEPAD as the framework for supporting development in Africa, while all its developmental agencies had been directed to work in partnership with NEPAD. With the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 57-7, all African countries are enjoined to establish a NEPAD country office, hence the establishment of NEPAD Nigeria. Recently, NEPAD Nigeria inaugurated its expanded National Working Group on African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, in accordance with AU-adopted Memorandum of Understanding of March 2003. African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, is a self-monitoring mechanism to which member states of the African Union had agreed to facilitate the adoption of policies, standards and practices to foster better human security, political stability, reliable economic structure, accelerated sub-regional and continental economic integration. On Thursday, 15th November 2007, the APRM Expanded National Working Group had its maiden meeting in Abuja. Without much ado, the Special Advisor on NEPAD to the President, Ambassador Tunji Olagunju, ably represented by NEPAD Nigeria's Director of Finance and Administration, W.M. Kurawa, welcomed all-inclusive participants to the epoch-making event.
Welcome, and we thank you very much. Exactly a week today, His Excellency Ambassador Babagana Kindibe, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and the national focal point for APRM, inaugurated this committee in this very room. And the committee agreed to convene for 3 days for a full technical session, which we finish tomorrow, and thereafter the entire membership will now proceed on what is called the national validation exercise. The country has been grouped into 14 centers, and all the members of the national working group will be allotted a center, and you will be covering between 9 to 12 states, and the members will all proceed as part of the sessions. Your Excellencies, the meeting today is to serve as a technical session. We want to take you through what is NEPAD, what is APRM, what is the validation exercise, what is the national working group, what are you doing, how are you going to do it, and what is the importance of it to the country. So we want to plead with you that even those who were here last week, please stay and actively participate in the presentations we are going to make, because this is the critical point. From here, we on this side of the table will now move and become your secretariat. You will be leading the decisions from now on. Once we finish the briefings, then we will hand over to you, and then you will be leading, and we will just serve as your secretariat and provide the necessary logistics. I just want to also conclude by telling you that as part of the NEPAD framework, and NEPAD means New Partnership for Africa's Development, the Nigerian government became the 6th country in Africa to accept and to sign the Memorandum of Understanding on the African Peer Review Mechanism. Since it started in 2003, only 5 countries in the entire African continent have been peer reviewed, and Nigeria is the 6th country that has signed to do it, along with Uganda that is coming up this early next year. So as part of this African peer review mechanism that the Nigerian government has signed, we have what we call a country self-assessment report, the executive summary of which has been circulated to you. This report is compiled on a reflection of Nigerians' views of our own country, how things are working, where they are working right, where they are working wrong, our strengths, our weaknesses, and everything to do with our country. This report is what we are now asking you to go out and validate amongst the people of Nigeria. And we are expecting, and Nigeria has signed, that at least 40% of Nigerians will be able to see this report and contribute on it. According to that, government and the state governments are planning to print as many as 70 million copies, of which 40 million will be in English, 10 million in Hausa, 10 million in Igbo, and 10 million in Yoruba. We are asking the Secretary to the Government of the Federation 2 weeks ago, met the secretaries to the state governments, and agreed that those states with other major languages will also help the federal government and translate it in their own respective languages to make sure that as many Nigerians as possible have had the opportunity to read. In addition, from tomorrow, we hope to serialize the book in all national newspapers so that as many people as possible will be in a position to get to read the book. Also, the DGNTA is here, and I'm sure they would give NEPAD ample time to appear on national television from time to time until we finish this assignment, which is starting on the 18th of November and finishing with a national stakeholder workshop that we are expecting Mr. President to personally chair in Abuja here on the 7th of December.
The meeting, which had in attendance representatives of the executive, legislative, judiciary, civil society, professional bodies, public and private sectors, academia, media and non-governmental organizations, gave a striking and promising signal to its statement of actualization. The Director General of Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, Tony Iradia, tutored extensively on the role of media in the project, NEPAD Nigeria APRM.
Journalists and news gathering groups who go around the country, one thing that is obvious is that there is very little introspection in our country. People tend to look at what other people do. We don't ask ourselves what we do. Sometimes you even find that people who are employed to work in organizations do not remember the purpose for which the organization was set up. And so we just leave the house every day and go to work in the belief that we will do whatever assignment we are doing. Whether that assignment conforms with the purpose for which the organization was set up, or whether it adds value to the operation of that assignment, does not appear to be contemplation at all. I always ask my colleagues, when you come to cover an assignment like this, and you're a reporter, it's okay to tell us what transpired. But you ask yourself, why is this the assignment you chose to cover today? Of what benefit is this assignment that necessitated your picking it out of the numerous events that are taking place for coverage? There must be a purpose, and that purpose must be reflected in what we do. So if we can use this mechanism that has been introduced now as a basis for introspection, I think we'll make a lot of progress. I noticed that Nigerians are very critical of public events and public institutions because we don't look into ourselves. I asked somebody this question. We have deregulated the aviation industry. There is no airline in Nigeria today that is publicly owned. They are all private. Why is there still cancellation of flights? Why is there still irregularity in flight operations? Why is service still the same form in which nobody tells you what has happened? And you just sit there in the airport for 8 hours. And then at the end of the day, somebody scribbles some unintelligible thing like, due to circumstances beyond our control. What are the circumstances? Why are they beyond your control? Why did you choose to operate an airline? Are you ready for it? In other words, is privatization actually the solution to our problem? It's a question of using the private sector. Because everybody in the aviation industry is the private sector. Why are we having problems? Why do we always criticize only public events, public officials, public citizens like that? Because we don't introspect. We look at others, we don't look at ourselves. And if this mechanism is about looking at yourself and looking at how you are operating and looking at where you are coming from and where you are going, as the lead speaker here has said this morning, I think that is a very welcome development for those of us in this part of the world who are seeking to develop.
The objective of the NEPAD is to eradicate poverty, place African countries, both individually and collectively, on a path of sustainable growth and development. Delivering a paper with the theme, concept, principles and objective of NEPAD, E.I. Ogbile, Director of Programs, Development and Implementation, NEPAD Nigeria, spoke on this line.
What are the guiding values and themes behind NEPAD? In other words, what are the vision and the principles of NEPAD? I like to quickly go through that. NEPAD philosophy and vision, because it is important to get the issues and ideas, the things that are propelling you to what you are doing. The new partnership for African development is declared by African leaders based on the very common vision and shared conviction that they have a pressing duty to African people to eradicate poverty and place the continent in sustainable development. It is holistic and the strategic framework is one. I want to stress that in NEPAD, African leaders are seeking a sort of renewal and a new beginning, a strategic direction for the continent in the 21st century. NEPAD embodies a message of hope and the spirit of our new leaders, who this time do not want to depend solely on people guiding and pushing them. They want to go by themselves. Now, there you have the UN General Assembly adopted NEPAD framework and directed that African countries that buy into NEPAD as an initiative should set up their own country offices with a view to now domesticating and moving NEPAD. Move on. And what are the principles? The primary objectives of NEPAD, and this is not exhaustive, are one, to eradicate poverty, to place African countries both individually and collectively on the path of sustainable growth and development, to halt the marginalization of Africa in the globalizing world, and to enhance Africa's full beneficial integration into the global economy. These are just the major ones. What are the principles and the development strategy? In every vision, we must define it here and how you get into that vision. The vision being a dream. The principles of NEPAD, I like to stress, hinge mainly on three things. Ownership by Africans. Two, inclusiveness. In other words, Nigeria does not want to emancipate on its own, it wants to move along. I was saying that ownership is very important. In other words, it is indigenous and we believe it is ours and we can get it done. Inclusiveness, that is, Africa believes that for Africa to move on, all Africa must move together, and then mutual respect between Africa and her development partners. In other words, it is not this carrot dangling thing that used to be. It has to be based on mutual agreement. And then, strategy. One, ensuring the ownership, management, and leadership of the new partnership process by Africans through trade, and the immense diversity of Africa, and the consequent need for multi-track modalities for operationalizing NEPAD. Securing predictable long-term capital flows, and most importantly, seeking out possible outright cancellation of reduction in debt, but on a mutual respect. I will not talk at length on the NEPAD program. I believe in the next segment my colleague will talk about it. But I like to stress that NEPAD programs are clustered or grouped into 9. It used to be 7. This will be down. I will quickly run through these. One, the first is infrastructure development. The second is agriculture and food security, industry, trade and market access. Let me stress that industry, trade and market access used to be part of the agriculture cluster, but is now on its own. Political, economic and corporate governance, peace and security, which used to be part of the political governance. Environment, urbanization and population, science and technology, human resources development and health. Then the 9th one is communication and advocacy. I would like to stress that very recently, the programs of the present administration, a 7-point program agenda of the present administration, converging very neatly with the NEPAD initiative. I say recent because this NEPAD initiative has been there since 1991. It is only a good coincidence in the sense that Mr. President's 7-point agenda falling down. It has been stressed before, and I like to stress it again that NEPAD is not a party program. It is only a good coincidence of good ideas, one by Mr. President of Nigeria and the other by African leaders, much before he came in.